see it's getting darker and darker, and there's just no way right now for these drivers to know exactly what's going to happen.
These guys are going to have to be really, really careful and tiptoe around the track until it's either stopped.
And not even 10 minutes into this race, and I feel like we've got enough strategy going on for a whole event, but still a long, long way to go.
There's Yellowstone, there's Yosemite, but for racing fans and for Grid Life's Elkhart Classic, the destination is Road America, the National Park of Speed. Free ride in the front of the field here. Look at Emil Tab up the inside for the race lead. We head down to the first corner.
Have no idea what they're coming into. Look at this field. They're 2 wide, 3 wide, a couple places slipping.
Side by side for the race lead. 54, 48 through 3 and 4. Working lap number 60, 110 laps to go. Yusuf Ghali, power move to the bottom of the racetrack, making the short way work. They're going to touch down the hill.
This will be a great run for Fuller here. Yeah, it's if we go right off the track in the final quarter, that'll have Fuller get a massive.
Here he comes.
Does he have a look?
Oh, big block here by Sanfilippo. Into the grass goes Ben Fuller for turn 1. And Sanfilippo hangs on. He's loose. No! And he crashes hard in the exit of turn number 2. Don't try here, boys. They're going to do it. Gritsko backs out. They touch. They're going to crash. Gritsko going to slam the attenuator hard into the wall. And Jared Tesson hits him as well. And big damage on these cars. That's huge.
Number 4, people are struggling for grip, going out of every single lane, trying to then run. It's getting really insane.
Powered by AWS for the Intercontinental GT Challenge, powered by Pirelli at the Indianapolis 8-hour. We are 7 hours and 18 minutes into this 8-hour event.
John Miller way deep on the brakes to the inside of turn number 1 and 2. The spin, the 3 car gets turned around in front of Paul.
James Howden looking for a place to go, but he's got Austin Cobb to the inside. A bit of a gap behind. I think that's about 15th or 16th spot as they come out of turn 3. Big slide.
For this, getting a run. He's got it. Going to be a drag racing line. Final corner. Checkered flag waving. Here they come. At Virginia National Raceway. To the line. Thompson, Darling, door to door, banging doors, fender to fender. I can't believe what we just saw.
Last week, these drivers were flying up and down the hills of Watkins Glen, New York. This week, they're going to be flying up and down the hills of Brazelton, Georgia. We head down south for round number 7 of the SCRS LazyRocket Prototype Challenge, and it's at Road Atlanta. My name's Finity Kuna here with Eric Mickey for the next round of this series, and after some great racing at Watkins Glen, looking forward to seeing this action unfold here at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really good race tonight. We got over 20 cars looking to take the green flag in just over 7 minutes with this qualifying session, which we've already got a handful of cars taking laps already. We should see the full 4 laps from these cars with how fast they lap around this place, but definitely looking forward to the 2-race format here tonight, the new invert of 16 drivers for race 2, and then we have that little longer race in race 2 where they will have to make pit stops. So looking forward to a lot of action tonight and seeing how these prototypes drive around this newly facelifted Road Atlanta Raceway.
Yeah, you can see it in the B-roll as well. And we'll head down, take a look at a track map for tonight's event. Go flying up through turn number 1, flying up the hill, and then head through turns 2, and then finally to turn 3. And after that point, if you hit the curve the right way, you go flying down through the track. Going to be very high speed for these prototypes that can carry so much speed through the corners. They're going to be relying on all the downforce in these prototype machines as they head on to turn 5. Then you head down to turns 6 and 7, and you get turned onto the straightaway, Eric.
Yeah, that big, long straightaway is going to be where drafting is going to take a big effect. They are in the medium downforce package here today for their setup, so I don't expect the draft to be overly empowered, but I still think it's going to be enough to really make a difference if you can come out of turn 7 close enough to the car behind. Even as we saw on the Lamborghini race earlier tonight, drivers dropping wheels on the exit of 7 really hurts their exit, and all the way down through the straightaway with turns 8 and 9 on it. Then you get down into the quick left and right handers of turns 10A and 10B before heading up the hill and over the crest, just to head right back down that hill for the final corner to come across the start-finish line.
Indeed, we'll cut now live to the action down on track. Qualifying already underway for these drivers, and at the top of the charts, it is Paul Darling.
Thiandra just goes to second place. These are going to be the 2 to keep your eye on here tonight, as they're probably going to be the strongest with the highest pace capabilities as we've seen all season. DJ, as we mentioned earlier tonight, not here to compete. So Paul Darling and Cyandra are going to be the two guys to keep your eyes on.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at them as we go trackside to see these guys wrap up their qualifying event. Cyandra is sitting there in second. Not after some struggles at Watkins Glen. Having some internet issues, I believe, and was not able to get a good position for race number 2. Was able to still claw back some spots before it was all said and done, but I think he's hoping to be starting near the front for both of these races.
Yeah, I should mention our also our prototype, our Lamborghini race winner, Carter Kundinger, looking to potentially take home a sweep here tonight if he can come home with a win in either race 1 or race 2 here today. I think it's probably his best bet is going to be take advantage of the invert in race 1 and be ahead in race 2 to get out front as quick as he can. Should also mention another name that we'd be used to seeing at the front of the field for the most part is not going to be here. That's Zach Buchanan, who had a equipment failure earlier tonight in the Lamborghini, and it looks like he's opted not to even make an attempt here and have the same problems striking again.
Yeah, and I think that's the last thing you want is to have the same mistake, same issue, happen to you in both races. I think is just gonna, as you mentioned, just take the night off, try to hopefully fix that. I hope. I haven't seen exactly what happened to him, with what issue that was. Hopefully it's nothing too severe. Hopefully something that can either get fixed or sorted in a decent amount of time. That's the last thing you want having is something on your sim rig break, because not only is it really inconvenient, depending on your rig, it could also be fairly expensive to fix.
Yeah, I've recently been able to upgrade thanks to my buddy Kurt sending me his older wheel setup, but I've been afraid to kind of sell my Thrustmaster just in case something goes wrong. I don't want to be out of the opportunity overall, but yeah, Zach's been having some hardware issues over the last couple months that he's looking to get in contact with Fanatec about and see what's up, because this I'm sure is frustrating that he's having to sit out just to make sure that he doesn't end up having another complete failure and wreck.
Yeah, and I was just saying he said he had some problem with the wheel rim, so gonna be sending it to Fnatic, and it's the first time this issue's happened in over a month. Always worse when it happens in a race that actually matters. Or you would kind of hope that something like this happens in a practice session. Worst case scenario is to happen in a race, and that did occur for him. As you look at Cyandra here completing, I think actually he's already finished up his attempt, so he's going to pull it back down to the pits. I'm trying to look at anyone else out on the track. Steve Bunting, notably in the 83, making, if I'm not mistaken, his first start in this series.
Yes, this would be his first start on the season. I believe we also have Jeffrey Fisher making his debut in the prototypes this week as well. Looking at the qualifying results right now, Carter Kundinger less than 0.3 off of Paul Darling. That's still a big gap, but I think most people would have expected that Paul Darling and Cyandra would be at the top of the board, but Kundinger showing pace. So to potentially go and race against Paul Darling tonight and be up there with Cyandra as well, with Mo Islam and Jackson Robillard behind them, rounding out your top 5 for right now. And we got just over a minute left in this qualifying session and a handful of cars still with laps to complete. But I don't think that there's anybody out there who's going to have the pace to challenge for the top spots.
I was looking at Murphy Nichols getting out on the track, and he got some practice a few weeks ago. Was racing in the Grid Life event that they had here. Grid Life, what was it called? Grid Life Momo Prototype? No. I don't know what it's called. Momo Prototype Challenge?
I think Momo was somewhere in there, right?
Yeah, I think it was just called the Momo Prototype Challenge, done through Grid Life iRacers. They had an event here with the LMP2 cars at Road Atlanta, and I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, that Murphy Nichols was one of the cars, but he is not putting down a lap time, and will be starting from the back of the field. I think at least 21st. I have to see where exactly he's going to end up with the few guys that didn't qualify, but the top 5 looking fairly strong. And not really one, I would say definitely Paul Darling, Cyandra, probably the favorites to come home with this win. But again, as you mentioned, Carter Kundinger sticking his nose up there, showing some really strong pace, not only in the Lamborghinis, but also in these prototype cars, as you mentioned, looking promising to take the sweep. And I don't think, have we had a single driver sweep all 3 races in a race night so far?
Not all 3 races in a race night so far. I think we may have had someone sweep both prototype races, but it just occurred to me, and I think the last time I saw prototypes around Road Atlanta was an event SimTV covered where half the drivers were in Mazdas. Did you watch that event?
Oh,
They
yeah.
were,
I was
there
gonna
teaming together, and you had to kind of protect your Mazda teammate and try to get the Mazda to win the race.
Oh yeah. I didn't see that or take part, and I was planning on taking part, but I was just exhausted that day, so I decided to bow out. But yeah, that was very entertaining stuff. Saw some clips of that, some prototypes taking flight.
Yeah, that's the last time I saw Murphy Nichols in a prototype around around Road Atlanta here. So I'm hoping he remembers that the point of this one is to not wreck and to try to win the race yourself.
Yeah, I hope for your sake that he remembers that too. We'll cut down here for gridding here. Let's try to get that pulled up on screen. A decent list of drivers here. Some very talented drivers up near the front. Paul Darling going to be starting on pole with Carter Kundinger next to him in 2nd place. Cy Andrew in 3rd with Mo Islam in 4th. And then moving on to the next page of drivers, Jackson Robillard, your highest AM driver, with Ryan Cladwell next to him in the 144. Chris Hudson, and then Derek Lolo rounding out your top 8.
9th place, we'll see Colin Boehner. 10th place, Drew Litke. Dominic Dornenberg rolling off in 11th place. Corey Bunch rolling off in 12th. Cody Meadows taking the green flag in 13th with Ryan Ford in 14th. And then Anthony Montello, the series sponsor, actually, LazyRocket, thank you very much for providing support for the series and sponsorship for the series all season for both Prototype and Lamborghini. Check them out for any vinyl design needs. Eric Brown will roll off 16th.
And moving on to the next row, Sarah Tesson will be starting in the 72 car all the way back in 17th. Brian Schmelski in 18th. Devin Bosch in the 7 car is going to be starting in 19th with Steve Bunting in 20th. And then rounding out your last 2 rows of drivers, Murphy Nichols in the 55 machine with Nicholas Morelli next to him. And Jamaica in the 86 and Jeffrey Fisher rounding out your field of 24 drivers. And it doesn't really have 22 that have gridded for this race. Still quite a few cars as you can see them getting off rolling for the baseline.
Yeah, I'd just like to take a quick second to point out a little message from Tyandra in the driver's chat about dealing with these curbs tonight. Hippity hoppity, your lap time is my property. Is how he's viewing the curbs, looking at the cars tonight, looking to strike them back. I'd like to just quickly take a look at our championship standings now. Big deal with DJ Alessandrini not being here tonight, as Paul Darling is the point leader, but only 9 points ahead of DJ Alessandrini. And they do have drop weeks that are in effect as of now and will be for the rest of the season. So that's not necessarily a big hurt to DJ, but he's going to have to come back in the next few weeks and perform very well in order to make up for missing this one. Cyandra is a little bit further back down in 6th, but he's definitely got the pace to go out there and win a bunch of races with the last 4 weeks of competition still to go. So we can't rule him out either.
Yeah, and also to take a look at the weather yet again. These guys fairly cool temps. 79 in the air, 86 on the track. Shouldn't be too much of an issue for them. Nice and grippy. We saw the track temps close to 100 in the Super Trofeo race just earlier, so I think this guy's going to enjoy some cool temps to work with, and definitely helps with the grip levels. And again, you're watching the SCRS LazyRocket Prototype Challenge at Road Atlanta, round number 7. Just about to get underway here. Paul Darling, Carter Kundinger, Cy Andrew, your top 3. Very competitive. No idea really of those 3 who's going to win. I would say either all 3 of those have a fairly equal shot at taking home the win here, and it's going to be interesting telling them apart because even Carter Kundinger, who's with AOD Blue, he looks exactly, his paint scheme looks very similar except from the side compared to the other 2 drivers around him. Both Paul Darling and Cy Andrew teammates here as we come flying over the bridge. Turn 11 down towards turn number 12. Starter with the flag in hand. And we are green here for Prototype Challenge.
Going to be really difficult to get through this first section, especially that tight turn 3 side by side. They're going to have to get single file before we get there. Let's hope they get through there without any massive calamity.
Indeed, heading through turn 3, arguably calamity corner here, and it looks like we see everyone filing on through. It looks like everyone is going to make it out in one piece.
Car around, Rolleveld around in the middle or back of the pack there. It looks like everybody seems to be able to get through just fine. Some lost lap time, but oh, and up ahead, Eric Brown has been turned going into turn 5. Once again, that looks like a single car incident, although he may have been turned, but everybody else seems to have gone through unscathed.
And taking a look back up in front with our leaders, Paul Darling and Cyandra, again, teammates up near the front of the pack, getting it done here.
And you would have to think they probably orchestrated that start a little bit to make sure that they got the jump on Carter and were able to get out into positions 1 and 2, but they're not taking it easy as they're side by side through turns 10A and B, and Carter Cunninger is going to look to try to force a move on the both of them and break them up so they don't just work together the entire race.
Yeah, he's going to have to force the issue here as it comes flying past to complete lap number 1, but yeah, he's definitely going to have to push these guys to the limit, otherwise they can just control the race sitting in those top 2 spots, and they're definitely going to try to do it as much as they can. You might as well play the game to your advantage here, and Carter Cunninger again trying to break that dynamic up between these two. Even Muslim to not too far behind the 206 machine.
Oh, Islam is for AOD Racing Purple, so under the same AOD banner as Carter Cunninger, but under a different team in terms of how they'll score points here tonight. Jackson why did my name just... I was getting him confused with Rolleveld, but Robillard is showing some really good pace and even was in the top 2 in qualifying for a little bit in that session earlier tonight, so he's got the pace to go up there and potentially race for a podium here as Cyandra and Paul Darling continue to open up the gap behind them, but they're side by side once again going into turn 10A and B.
Yeah, it looks like they, I guess maybe they don't have a plan. Maybe they're just trying to race it out as much as possible here. As you see, an aggressive move from Andrew going to work for a second. No, not quite. He actually backed off. And now here comes Paul Darling back again through. And here comes Carter Cunninger, more importantly, up the inside, trying to make it for second place. Mo Islam's also closed up. It's a 4-way battle for the lead.
I think the 2 of those out front, Darling and Andra, they just really enjoy racing and racing each other. They often get disappointed when the invert happens and they're not starting in the back of the field together to try to challenge themselves and race each other up through the field. So I don't expect that they'll put each other in any bad situations, but I don't expect that they're not going to race each other when they get a chance. They just seem to be those kind of drivers out there.
Yeah, and also you can see too, there's a massive gap back from 7th place. You got Chris Hudson in 6th, Ryan Cladwell in 7th, and then you find Corey Bunch and everyone else fairly strung up from behind. I think that probably had to do with some lap 1 incidents. I see Dominic Dornberg, Shabelski, and Tessam all in the pits. Or they all made a stop, I should say.
Yeah, it's about where troubles took place in the middle of the field. And who's this coming to a stop?
This is Dominic Dornberg. I think he had some trouble in 1 and 2.
Dornberg is one of your top drivers in the AM Cup. He is 3rd place in the AM Cup standings behind Ryan Plord and Corey Bunch in 1st and 2nd.
And is now sitting in pit lane. I think might have called it night over, at least for race number 1. So he's going to sit the rest of this out. That's not going to be good for him. You mentioned 3rd in the AM Cup standings, and he's going to be finishing 21st. And again, the key thing is that top position 16th, which is the invert position currently being held by Murphy Nichols in the 55 car. So those guys near the back going to be eyeing for this spot or a little bit above that. I thought I almost just jinxed Murphy Nichols there. I had a little bit of a flash. They're all going to be eyeing for that spot because that's where they're going to be inverted back to the front. And if you're even in 14, 13, that's going to still put you in a solid position like Brown and Ryan Ford. So those guys are going to be eyeing for those spots. If you're past that, you're going to be tough out of luck, such as Steve Bunting sitting in 17th and Colin Daner in 18th.
Yeah, Murphy Nichols in the best seat possible right now for that second race invert. He's been spending a lot of time preparing for another race this weekend in the GT4s around the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit, so a little bit of a jump for him, spending most of today in that car to jump over here today and right now in these prototypes around Road Atlanta, but he seems to be doing all right now. as we're back with Cyandra trailing Paul Darling for the lead. Looks like they are at least not side by side for once, so we'll see have things settle down between the two of them and if Paul can kind of start opening up. But Sabelski, he must have been involved in some early shenanigans as well, because he's now almost going a lap down, which is not where you want to be in just a few laps into this first race.
Yeah, and he's, as you mentioned, just in front of the leaders here. I think he's going to pull off to the side, and he will let them work their way on by. Carter Kundinger, after a little bit of a mistake by him, lost some time. The leaders has struggling to climb that back up. Not too terribly far behind, but is slowly drifting back into the clutches of Mo Islam, who's chasing him down.
Now, if you're Islam and Kundinger, you're probably not wanting to race each other, knowing that the two ahead of you might start racing and in just a few laps start racing a little bit harder as the laps start to wind down, and then you get the opportunity. If you can stay just where they are within 2 seconds or so, that's going to make a huge difference as to whether or not they can close that gap and actually have an opportunity in the late stages of this race.
Well, if the leaders keep battling the way they are, they're definitely going to have a shot at catching back up to them. As you see them do a switchback and one another, and they're still side-by-side in the S's. This is a tough place to keep that side-by-side. You see him losing a ton of speed. Oh!
Contact.
And Darling going to get knocked off the track. He's going to rejoin, but back in third, maybe fourth here as Moslem gets a solid run. And here comes Carter Kundinger continuing the attack, going to throw up the inside in turn 6.
Got to make that attack if you can. If you're Kundinger, you got to try to put the pressure on and make that pass.
Still pushing on it here. He's not going to get quite a good run out of turn 7. That's okay. He's got the slipstream in behind Cyandra here. And he's going to be trying to be able to use his advantage. This is his best shot at getting the lead. Here he goes. Trying to look left. Going to look right instead. Flying down to turn 10. It's going to be a matter now who's going to be braver on the brakes. Here they go into turn 10A. I'd say Carter Kundinger has got the preferred line through turn 10B. Can't quite get it done. Gets pinched by Andra and will hold the lead. And how about Mo Islam going to throw it to the outside in 12?
You just need so much room on the exit there to be able to maintain any kind of speed on the exit of turn 10 there. So if the driver you're trying to pass to your left is able to keep up any momentum whatsoever, it's really difficult to execute that pass entirely, as Mo Islam has moved up to second place, and I think Darling's gone back into third. Kundinger back to fourth after he was just battling for the lead less than a lap ago.
Yeah, it's kind of back where he started. It was actually worse than where he started. He started the last lap in third, and then now it's dropped back to fourth. But Islam, though, the biggest gainer, has went from fourth to second place. Kundinger is still not done, though, looking at pinching another pass. Even Jackson Robart, too. He's been sitting very quietly in fifth place.
Yeah, this train, this is not, typically you would see this in this first race in the middle of the pack, this train of cars all together, not able to separate themselves. But here we are, you've got the top, what do you say, probably 7 cars all together, not able to really get away from each other. So this is some really good racing just about halfway through this race with 7 laps. They're on 7 laps and 7 to go, so they're exactly halfway through this race. If they come across the line to get 6 to go. Not much time left in these races. These lap times are only just over a minute long.
Yeah, it's very quick stuff here. The Lamborghini is 1 minute 20s. These guys 10 seconds faster a lap. Not that it was already a long lap in general, so just giving their speed and just really how much the downforce helps these cars nag, especially through the S's. These guys going flying at 130, 140 miles an hour through this section of track. Moslem now under attack from Paul Darling in behind, looking to take that second spot back.
I think Darling, he held off on the move because he knows that right after this turn 7, he's got a huge straightaway to take advantage of the draft being that close to Mo Islam. As Kundinger gets a little bit squirrely off the corner, that's going to hurt his straightaway speed and ability to take advantage of the draft ahead. But I think we're going to see Paul Darling pull out and make a move around Mo Islam going down into turn 10.
And here we go, going to go flying on past, or at least alongside. Mo Islam going to be deeper. Who was further ahead, but just didn't quite break as aggressively as Darling did, who muscled his way on by. Now back in a second place. It's going to be a matter, can he chase down Cyandra, who's a second, 1.1 second up the road.
I think Paul's going to have the pace. He was quite a bit faster, a few tenths faster than Cyandra in qualifying. So I think Paul's got the pace. He's not that far behind. He's going to be able to do it. He only needs a couple tenths before the draft is going to start doing some of the work for him. I think the important factor is, can Mo Islam and Carter Kundinger stay close enough to Paul to take advantage of the draft and keep that gap close enough to close it down even further as they go along here. And then once again, just wait for those two to start fighting before you can take advantage and put the pressure on the both of them.
Yeah, just taking a quick look back because I think we've been in the front 7 the entire time this race because there's been some awesome battling going on. Taking a look back, I saw Cody Meadows and Derek Roval Cody Meadows and Ryan Plord were in a close battle for just a second, but that's kind of died out for now. I think both these guys pretty much around where they started. Cody Meadows in 13th and Ryan Plord in 14th. Both moved up to a decent amount of spots. Back up near the front, down into turn 10. Carter Cunningham are going to work his way by Mo Islam. Now set his sights yet again on the front two. Although they're quite a bit up the road now with only 4 laps to go, I think, this time by.
Yeah, third place is now about 2.5 seconds behind the lead. Paul Darling is under a second. They're going to have to hope for some tight racing, just like earlier in the race, between Darling and Andra in order to have any opportunity to battle for the win again. But back here in the middle of the pack, I'm not sure who we're riding on board with right now.
That's
but
Ryan
it is
Plord.
Tight battle back here for, it looks like, the 9th position.
Yeah, this is Cody Meadows, Ryan Plord, Derek Roval, and Drew Lidke all in frame. Lidke throwing it over the inside of Roval, yeah, that was Roval that he threw that up the inside of, who I think has some damage to his car. I wasn't quite sure. It might have just been the paint scheme throwing me off. I guess the car does look fine. But he was got immediately passed by all 3 of these cars. I thought he might have had some damage, but he's just kind of struggling at the moment. He's going to be all over the back of Lidke. He almost dumps him. That was very close quarters heading into turn 6. And whoa, a little bit of a lockup heading into turn 7 as well. But again, we talked about turn 7. You need to get a good run out of that corner. Otherwise, you just lose so much down the straightaway.
Yeah, this long straightaway is such a key part to this Road Atlanta Raceway. As you see, it looks like, okay, so Ford looked like he was going to make a late dive attempt, but he might have just been trying to scare Meadows into a mistake there.
Yeah, and he actually made a mistake himself. He really hurt the exit of turn 10B, the second part of that chicane, and almost went off into the grass, had to correct, but now it's falling to the clutches of Drew Lidke, who's now pursuing another spot and trying to break the top 10.
Looking back at 16th place, it's still Murphy Nichols in kind of a comfortable area, not really close to making any passes, and has quite a bit of a gap to the car behind him for position.
And actually, Colin Danner has gotten past him as well, up into 15th. I think last time we were looking at Danner, he's actually just outside the invert window, is now just inside it by 2 spots. So he'll be looking to restart, start race number 2 in 2nd place. Oh, and Devin Bosch having a bit of a sideways moment here.
One of the LazyRocket cars.
Heading up to turn 3. I haven't seen too many mistakes down here. Whoa, yeah, I just got up and over the curbs. And what did Cyandra say earlier in the race?
Let me just get it right. It was very intellectual. It was hippity hoppity, your lap time is my property.
Ooh,
and at that one, it looked like more like your floorboard and everything else was the property of that first corner when you turned in that early. So just a mistake there by Devin Bosch in the Team LazyRocket car. But he wasn't in position for an invert anyways, and it doesn't look like he's going to be able to get that position here for the rest of this race. As we've only got a couple laps to go. They're going to be coming up on the white flag lap this next time by. And Paul Darling, I just looked, he's gained a second in the last, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds or so.
Yeah, I can see this time through it was a 110.7 for Cyandra and a 109.8. So yeah, it was almost exactly a second that he gained on Cyandra. Is in the draft range now. It's a matter of executing here. He's got one more chance to try to pass his teammate before this race is over. And man, these guys have been I can imagine they've been having a blast this race. Some great battling.
I think it's going to come down to turn 10 at the end of the back straightaway, and it's just going to be a matter of who is braver on the brake.
I'm flying down to turn number 6, and then yeah, heading into turn 7 here. This is the big part. Gotta get a nice run for Paul Darling. A little bit wide. No, it was a decent exit. Lost a little bit of speed. Andrew
Yeah,
got a better initial launch.
He had a little bit of a later apex, it looked like, or later slowest part of the corner there, and I don't think he's going to have enough to get up beside him right now.
He's going to have a look here, maybe try to force him into an issue. He's going to have a fender just alongside. Here he goes, trying for the switchback as they head through turn 11. Going to be nose to tail through turn 12. It's not going to be enough. Cy Andrew are going to take home the win in race number 1. Paul Darling very close in behind. Carter Cundinger flashing his headlights in the background, going to have to settle for the final step of the podium. And also a nice three-way battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th. It's going to be Jackson Wilmore, Chris Hudson, and Ryan Cladwell through that fight. Boas, I'm going to round out 7th place with Corey Bunch in behind in 8th. And Ryan Plord, we saw this battle get very sketchy earlier on. Cody Meadows was in lead of this pack, but it's going to be Plord that will take home 9th. Just ahead of Cody Meadows and Drew Lidke as they try to fight it to the line. It's going to be Meadows over Lidke for 10th and 11th. And some other drivers coming in behind.
To come home in 14th. Colin Daner 15th. Coming around the final corner. And your pole sitter for the next race, the 40-minute race, is going to be Murphy Nichols, as long as he gets it across the line right here, and he does.
It sounded like he was out of fuel almost. It almost sounded like he got off the gas. Not sure that was on purpose or not. Yeah,
so that'll do it for your race 1, and that was a great battle for the win, pretty much from the time the green flag flew. Really intense battle for the win between two teammates who know how to handle each other, and that was a lot of fun to watch.
And actually, I think with that, the session actually just ended up resetting itself. Thought we would have some time to take a look at our race results, so unfortunately not going to. But with that, we'll take just a little bit of a break to take a breather, because that was a lot of action. If that race is anything to go off, race 2 is going to be even more interesting. So we'll be right back in a few minutes. welcome back here for the second race of the night here, round 7 at Road Atlanta. After some fantastic action in race number 1, I cannot wait to get this race going yet again. We saw Cyandra and Paul Darling not willing to be not willing to stay second to either of the other drivers. Both of them, even though being teammates, completely duking it out as if they were rivals.
Yeah, it was a really impressive battle we saw between the two of them, even with some contact, but nothing terrible went on. Really close-fought battle for the entirety of that first race. Now we have our 16 position invert that has Murphy Nichols on pole and Colin Daner starting second place with some AM drivers and some slower drivers up front. So it's going to take a lot of discipline from those guys to get through this opening set of corners, especially the S's. Cleanly and instead of causing big on-track action, and hopefully that's what we see, and we see a good fair battle and see just how far up the field Paul Darling and Cyandra can get before their pit stop.
You know, let's take a look at our weather here for the second race. Pretty much exactly the same as it was in the first race. 79 in the air, 86 on track, and I'm loving that because those conditions put on some fantastic action for these drivers. I think it was exactly perfect. Gave them enough grip to work with and really just make moves without worrying too much. I wouldn't say necessarily worrying too much of the consequences, but we're definitely able to confidently place the car and expect it to stick here. And we'll see how that's going to play out for this second race. You can see different front row, as you mentioned, with that invert. Murphy Nichols, Colin Daner being the drivers in the front, racing that will bring the field down for the green.
Yeah, these are two drivers. So Murphy Nichols is shown to get himself into some trouble quite a bit. Colin Daner, as we've noted a couple times, has gone from a pro driver in previous seasons to an AM driver, just having a little bit of trouble coming to grips with these prototypes. So we'll see what they're capable of doing from the start, from the front row. Starting positions, Eric Brown starting in third place. He's shown some pace, capable of running up front as long as he gets some comfortable track position to run with. And then of course Nicholas Morelli has always shown that he's had pace to compete with the pros given the right circumstances. So if these guys can get through the opening lap in a clean fashion, I don't think it's going to be all that easy for Paul Darling and Cyandra just to go up there and take the lead.
Yeah, we at least saw passing was not too hard of an issue. If you have enough speed and enough patience in some parts of the track, definitely able to get it done here. Heading down to turn 10A. Favorite spot, passing spot for a majority of the drivers here tonight. It's been amazing what they've been able to pull off down here and some great action. Haven't seen anything too crazy down here. I think there might have been something we missed in race number 1, but other than that, fairly clean racing throughout. Pace car just about to dive off in the pit road. There it goes. Field in control of Murphy Nichols. A little bit of a checkup on the start, but we're green here at Road Atlanta for race number 2.
Yeah, it almost looked like they were confused as to which car was the controlling car on the start there, but came around the first corner, see if they get here cleanly.
So far, so good. Heading through turn 3. We saw after turn 3 some stuff go on. Mo Weslam going to go flying on through somehow. Does not murder Ryan Plord. Oh, and a spin up in front. Big crash in the S's. Murphy Nichols and a few others involved. Looks like cease part for the rest of the field, though.
Yeah, some cars caught up in that with some damage, but most of them are rolling in the correct direction right now. A lot of cars look similar. I wasn't sure who is exactly involved after the initial impact that started all of that. Really don't know what happened to Murphy Nichols there to get run over that way down the S's.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he clipped the curb, clipped the grass, and got sideways. Something bad must have happened, but already up near the front of the field, here's Carter Kundinger, and he's on a mission to get ahead of, get in front of his rivals. Currently sitting in 6th place.
See where Cyandra and Paul Darling are. They look like 39th and 11th right now.
Carter Kundinger going to swing on the outside of turn 12, trying to have a battle here for 5th place with Derek Volo. If I'm not mistaken, his teammate. AOD Racing Blue will get himself on by. Now looking at another spot for Ryan Plord. When you're talking about Ryan Plord, he almost got destroyed from Mo Islam, who overshot turn 3. But now looking at defending that fourth spot from Carter Kundinger in behind, and Colin Daner out ahead, 3.5 seconds clear of Chris Hudson, who's in second. And then behind, I think Carter Kundinger made a mistake. This is a big gaggle of cars.
Well, it looks like Morelli had some issues off of turn 5 there, and that kind of stacked the field up behind him.
Everyone knows to tail down through here. We'll take a look from Ryan Plord. You can see a huge amount of cars in behind him. That is a terrifying sight.
Yeah, Plord is, Morelli has some front end damage that's absolutely killing his straight line speed, just getting past very easily. As we see Cyandra move up to 8th position. Paul Darling is down into 16th, so he must have had an issue going around or going off track at some point, got caught up in some of this carnage we've seen over this first couple here.
I think it was the last lap. You're in a 137, so I think might have been involved in the initial onslaught that we saw. So he's going to be out of the running for now, at least. Up near the front, and you see Robo get on by Plord, so does Carter Kundinger. Cody Meadows going to try to make it on by in a wreck in turn number 3.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see a replay of that one, but it looked like there's just an attempt to stick a car there or move into a position that wasn't actually available. Not really sure whose fault that was from that angle.
Try to take a look here. Looked like Ryan Plord kind of came into Cody Meadows there. He was already on the curb and got hit. And it's just unfortunate because that's a tight part of the track to go side by side. Everyone aiming for the left side of the track to set up for turn 3. Cody Meadows all the way back in 16th. Ryan Plord just ahead of him in 15th.
Colin Daner almost a 3-second lead over second place. It's huge for him if he can continue that pace and that gap as Cy Andrews taking his time getting through the field. Still stuck back in 6th place behind Corey Bunch in 5th.
Yeah, I actually just want to take a look at the gap already. There is Colin Daner. Chris Hudson. Finally, you can see Carter Kundinger and Robel come flying out at turn 12, so it's already a 7.5 second gap back to 3rd place. We'll see some side-by-side action. Here comes Cyandra, man on a mission, working his way to the front. He's just gone past Corey Bunch. Even Jackson Rollard flexing his muscles this race. Some strong pace out of the 98 car.
So he's running about a similar position to where he was in the first race, and that's kind of where you end up when you kind of finish middle of the field in terms of the inverted positions. Then you kind of end up not really gaining or losing much, but then you find yourself getting overtaken by the faster cars behind, but also stuck behind the slower cars ahead, and that's never really a fun position to be in. It looks like he's kind of just been relegated to that mid-pack status at the moment, as Robillard looks like he has a run on Corey Bunch down the back straight heading into turn 10.
I think this is going to be fairly textbook for Robillard here. Going to throw up the inside. You can see the 93 of Bunch going to back out, yield a spot to Robillard, up to 6th place for him. Mo Islam, we saw that big off in turn 3. Maybe that car is still as good as it looks. Looks like he doesn't even have any damage to that car. I thought the wing or something would have been messed up. But no, that car looks pretty fine.
Yeah, that was really scary, seeing him go off track just in that same position just here on lap 1, and somehow did not take out anybody with him.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't, after kind of taking a little bit of air, I'm surprised he didn't damage any of the front splitter on the car. So he's going to be make his way on through my clad line through Montello. But surprised for Montello, I thought he was going to have a bit of a stronger run at some of the Glen. And that Road America had some really strong top 10 runs. Is just outside of it. Didn't finish particularly well in race 1, from what I recall. Whoa! Oh, he's going to be in the wall hard as he avoids Ryan Cladwell spinning out of turn 7.
That was just a matter of getting up on the curbing and getting out of shape.
Take a look here and see what happened. No, it just went wide. Oh yeah, and then caught the curbing there. I see what you meant. Yeah, caught the curbing there. Montello taking evasive action to avoid. Nothing much he could have done there.
To me, screams like he got back on the brakes and just in the wrong manner. They probably locked up and he wasn't able to make the corner.
back up. Cy Andrews just gone past Derek Robo, who we're seeing here in 5th place. And now Cy Andrews trying to chase down Carter Kundinger, who slashed the gap to the front with 7.5 seconds. Now down to 5.3, so he's making some good time here. Chris Hudson, too, closing in on the leader, Colin Daner, at the moment.
Yeah, right now, Daner is not the fastest car on track. It looks like that Cy Andrew and Carter Kundinger are running pretty similar lap times to each other, with Daner and Hudson just a little bit slower up ahead. So it's causing that accordion effect where the faster cars are starting to all catch the drivers ahead at probably about similar times and coming together. With this change to the 16 position invert, it really quickens the pace as to when those faster drivers are going to get up to the front of the field, as opposed to earlier in the season when it was a higher number of inverted cars. They would tend to not really get there until the pit stop cycles or even afterwards, which I believe we're going to see about 25 to 30 minutes into this race is probably when you're going to see pit stops take effect.
Let's take a look at Paul Darling again. Did have some issues on lap 1. Wasn't quite able to catch that for him, but lost some time. That car looks okay. I thought, considering what happened to him, I thought it would be a lot worse, but looks like he was able to make his way on through one piece. He's up into 10th place now.
And this was honestly the best thing that could have happened for DJ Alessandrini not being here, is that Paul Darling gets trouble in this second race, the race that pays the more points.
And I was trying to remember something. I was trying to remember to put the graphics. I forgot to put them for race 1. I was trying to remember to put them for race 2. I forgot about doing that. So I'm sorry, Anthony. Montello, who made the graphics, made them in the style of our ticker. Sorry, I'm not able to pull them up at the moment. I'll try to pull them up before the race is over, just to take a look going into the next few weeks of what's going down. But yeah, as you were talking about, really DJ needs Darling to start struggling up in the points, and also, but that being said, the Carter Kundinger are doing pretty well in both races. I think that might be a race for concern. Actually, just Kundinger battling him.
Third place in the championship, not that far behind DJ Alessandrini. So it's pretty huge for Kundinger too, with DJ not being here, to be able to perform as well as he has, and if he can keep Darling as far back as he is, that's going to be potentially big in the championship, depending on how the drop weeks fall after totals are input for this week. But as we take a look back, since we're talking championship, Corey Bunch is your AM Cup champion chip leader, with Ryan Plord in 2nd and Dominic Dornenberg in 3rd, and we'll take a look at how they're running right now.
And Corey Bunch sitting in 8th place, who is actually just up to 7th. Mo Islam, he got past, then made a mistake. Dominic Dornberg, who you said was 3rd in the championship, he just got past Mo Islam, and we'll try to keep him in behind. Islam making a mistake, dropping back from 7th to 9th. And who is that last 2nd place driver in the AM Cup series?
Ryan Ford is running 13th in the number 74 prototype. Not having a great, it looks.
Yeah, I think he's had a bit of an off for some mistake in turn 7. He's struggling a little bit. That's Cody Meadows about to go past him on the straightaway. Coming back up to our leaders, I guess I'll take a look back at 3rd and 4th. Carter Kundinger not able to keep up with Cyandra. Actually, Andrew had a little bit of a mistake. He was going to allow Kundinger to get back closer in a draft range. Oh, and Andrew's making a big mistake in the SSL exit as well. Lost a lot of time mounting the curb.
On pit road.
Really interesting stuff here.
I feel like this is pretty early. I'm not sure. I think this is pretty early for. I mean, he's only on pit road for.
They're a third of the way through.
11-second pit stop. So, I wonder if this is just the earliest you could possibly stop, and he just decided to get it out of the way and find some clean track. You
can tell they're locking in the brakes to not make contact with Mo Islam, sitting back in 15th. This is the number 24 car.
Looks like Cyandra was able to get by Carter Kundinger, so that means Cyandra's having.
Yeah, we did catch that pass, although now it looks like Carter Kundinger is back on the attack, closing back up. After Andrew looked like he was going to be driving away, made a little bit of a mistake, brought them back close together again. Hudson has not been able to make any progress on Colin Daner. Daner's been setting a steady pace up near the front. Anyway, see Dominic Dornberg and Corey Bunch flash a few times on the ticker. Both of them side by side in turn 1. You see Dornberg a little bit sideways up there, and there's Paul Darling sitting behind in 9th place.
and to minimize the damage he takes on points tonight. He's still got an opportunity probably to get to the top 5, maybe even a top 3, depending on how much pace he has left in that car.
I think he should have quite a bit of pace. I think he's still showing it. Last lap through ran a 109.7 compared to everyone else who got nowhere close. I think actually the only other car to get close was Carter Kundinger at 109.7. So it's still one of the fastest cars on track.
Yeah, Kundinger with a 109.8, so he's also very fast still out on track. Syandra 10.3, and the 2 lead cars are both running 10.7, so that gap to 3rd place is still coming down as Darling and is it Dornenberg side by side there through turn 10. Very close.
Yep, and Darling just going to get the spot up in the 8th. Now got to chase in Corey Bunch, who was able to get a little bit ahead after some side-by-side battling. Now the top 4 are starting to close in on one another. Looking here, there is Dana, there's Hudson, Andra, and Carter Kundinger, top 4.
Hudson still making a little bit of ground, closing in that gap. He was almost 3 seconds behind earlier in the race. Now he's just over 1. Syandra making the most headway as he's now under 3 seconds. Now, it wasn't that long ago. He was about 10 seconds behind. Who are we on board with here who's off the track? Looks like Nicholas Morelli.
They had a mistake in turn 6 here coming through here, or I should say turn 7. Ooh, yeah, just ran wide in the middle stretch. Sideways underneath the camera and into the wall.
Yep, I've done that before. Once you get into that grass, it's just at certain parts of this racetrack, there's just no coming back from it, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, it really is unfortunate. It's a double-edged sword. Once you go flying off, I think probably, I'm trying to think of the worst car. I think the worst car with the grass is probably the TCR. That thing is
yeah, maybe, yeah, because those front tires, like, you don't really get to power through or power out of being in the grass. They just kind of take hold and continue to pull you off. But there's as we look, I'm a little bit surprised that Kundinger still only, well, now he's starting to get under 4 seconds, but he had gained from 7 seconds to 5 seconds very quickly, and then that seemed to stall out for a good chunk of time here. Now it looks like he's starting to find the pace again to close back up to the lead car. It's going to be important for him, as we were just talking about the points a little while ago, that if he can't get back around Syandra, to be able to get up at least to 2nd place behind him.
We're riding on board with Colin Diener up in front. He's been led every single lap so far, but his time might be coming to an end here. He's got Chris Hudson, Syandra, Carter Kundinger all in behind. All of these 3 cars are faster than him, but catching is one thing, passing is another. Here to see if Diener's got anything up his sleeve to try to keep these guys in behind. It's going to be a tall ask, but not out of the realm of possibility. Diener's been putting some decent lap times down. Not been setting the world on fire, but they've been decent.
Yeah, it really doesn't take much. It's just the fact that the cars behind him are just consistently a couple tenths faster a lap that's causing the difference here. As we see, Hudson may be in striking distance by the end of this lap.
Yeah, also heard his tires squealing through turn 5. He was really on load with them. Through 6 and 7 into the sunset. All 3 of these cars nose to tail now down the stretch. Now Hudson, he just had to worry about battling Dana. Now he's got to worry about Syandra charging in behind. And you can see Carter Kundinger as well. I think he's going to hope that these guys scrap for a little bit so he can get back in the picture, have another shot at Andra before he gets clean air.
In about a lap's time, we're going to see Syandra battling for the lead going through the same section of corners.
Racing on down through turn 12, all in quick succession here, with just over 20 laps left to go in this race. I'm curious, so if you're Carter Kundinger sitting in behind as we approach the pit window, I think we almost want to say that we're pretty much within it at this point. Would you want to pit before you try to maybe pass these guys up ahead?
I think right now, if you're able to run faster lap times, you just keep on track and doing that. Maybe once you catch the car ahead, whether it's going to be Syandra, Chris Hudson, or Colin Dana, whoever it is, I think once you get there is when you're going to want to pull into pit road so you don't get caught up in traffic. But right now he's got enough clean track ahead of him that if he's able to run quicker lap times, just may as well stay out and take advantage of that, as we see Cyandra trying to make a move down in turn 10 braking zone on Chris Hudson.
Yeah, we'll see again. Hudson deeper on the brakes, able to hold that spot for now. I'm a bit surprised that Hudson has not been able to work his way past Daner. Had the draft for a few laps, has not been able to capitalize on it, surprisingly.
Yeah, I think he's also, the focus has shifted to protecting from behind now that Cyandra is so close. And Cy, I think, is just being very patient, knowing that he's got plenty of time, not even halfway through or just coming up on halfway in a few laps here.
Yeah, and also looking at his lap time, 110.6, being stuck in traffic. Carter Kundinger, 109.9. I think just showing you how much more valuable time in cleaner air is compared to being stuck back in traffic here. Is Andrew's still looking at a way past Hudson.
He's very patient, and I think he knows that there's no reason not to be at this point.
No, you know you got the faster car of the two guys ahead of you. Although I can imagine that Carter Kundinger getting behind him is a little bit nerve-wracking, because Carter Kundinger, one of the only other cars than Paul Darling to really fight with Andra. As we see him get a really good run here. Hudson going to go defensive. He decides to back out. Hudson looked like he might have put a dive on Dana, but he's also going to back out of it.
Yeah, everyone's just kind of, it's almost like the early parts of a chess game where no one's making any aggressive moves. They're just kind of showing their hand a little bit as to what they're looking to accomplish, and the fact that Chris Hudson does not want to give up second place so easily right now, and still thinks he can probably go out there and take the lead away from Dana, and in his mind is hoping that means he'd be able to drive away while Andrew struggles to get around Dana.
Yeah, and you want to make sure you don't, especially for these front two guys, you're running at a decent pace. You don't want to force the issue too hard, otherwise you'll make a mistake, and then you'll really be out of position. So, want to just kind of keep what's been working so far, keep it going. Maybe try to find some speed in some of the other corners as you see Dana get a very poor exit out of turn 7 here. Hudson's going to have to do something here. Going to maybe try to get a side drift, get some sort of draft off of Dana as they go side by side.
Corey Bunch in the pit lane for his pit stop. He's now completed his pit stop and on his way out of pit lane. Mo Islam has gone ahead of him, so as long as Mo Islam's stop was scheduled, that it seems to have worked out for Islam there.
And Andrew having to get on the brakes hard to avoid not hitting them. And there you see Carter Kundinger jumping to the pits. This could be a big move. Oh, as he hits the wall.
He's got a fast repair, though, in this series, so that's the perfect time to do it. Do it while you're coming to pit road. Doesn't cost you any time. Take that fast repair.
He hit that wall a ton. You can see the right side of the car. That is hurting on both sides. So he's gonna, as you mentioned, he's going to be lucky that he gets a fast repair. There you see him getting it. This is going to be a big move here. Andra, he's going to have to either sit behind or try to work his way on pass. Either way, he's going to be coming up behind Carter Kundinger, I think, at this point.
Be the move of the race for all we know right now, and that's exactly what I was mentioning, that as long as you had the clean air, may as well take advantage of it. Carter was seeing that the gap was closing and might have closed too much and decided just to come to pit lane and get out of that dirty airs. Dana off-road again into the grass, down the back straight. Hudson's going to have a run again. Let's see if Dana can hang on to it. He did last time.
Yeah, this is the tough thing. It's easy to pass one car. It's harder to pass two cars simultaneously unless you throw it 3 wide, and I don't think Andrew's going to do that. I think that's just too aggressive too early on. He's got to, again, sit patiently in behind. You can see him try to do an over-under here. Dana going to try to do the over-under here.
Dana was going to give the position, but he didn't.
And Andrew didn't pit again.
Wow.
I'm very surprised with this.
Now Hudson getting held up. Is he going to be able to get it?
Very
Hudson's
tight.
Not in a good position here.
Yeah, very tight quarters through 1 and 2, and even through 3. Finally, Andrew works his way past Chris Hudson. I forgot who it was we talked to last week at Watkins Glen of who didn't pit, before, trying to get some cleaner air. It was a similar situation to this, and they just said they're too busy battling that they completely forgot about that.
I can see that.
Yeah, I wasn't sure it was Andrew or Darling. It might have been one of those two. Might have been another driver. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. But I imagine that Carter Kundinger is going to be licking his chops. See him. He's out in clean air now, just setting some fast lap times.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how things play out here when these top drivers do come into pit lane, to see how much time Kundinger's gained from pitting when he did.
And finally, Cyandra, whoop, don't want to say it too soon. Now he's going to be finally clear the leaders, get his way on by. That'd been hilarious if he just came down a pit road after finally.
I was imagining that was going to be the case. It's like, oh yeah, I should probably pit just to be making that.
Wanted to just prove a point that he can work his way on by, but now has definitely held the lead. Will at least go for another lap. I think at this point he might as well continue on until the tank runs out.
Yeah, I think that's what Darling's doing. Is he's up to 5th right now. I don't believe he's pit.
No, he is not. In fact, the entire top 9 have yet to come down pit road. Ryan Flores is the first car that has gotten service. Or sorry, Carter Cundinger is the first car that's gotten service back in 10th place. Jackson Rover just up ahead of Paul Darling. He's been having a fairly quiet race up inside the top 10. I think he's moved up a spot or 2 to pit stops, but has been running just outside the top 5, if not in it. He's even sneaking a little bit, trying to get a draft off a lap car to keep Darling in behind. Close in the braking zones.
Bunting around ahead of the field, ahead of Jackson Robillard and Paul Darling. And
here comes Darling now. He's going to take advantage of the situation. He's going to blow his way past Robillard. We'll take a look at what happened there as he's riding in behind Steve Bunting. Right ahead,
I believe he's a lap down to these guys as it is.
Oh, yeah, he went for a loop there. You see Robillard take evasive action, so did everyone else. Did a great job.
Unfortunately, Bunting did not wait to start reversing and ended up reversing into another car there.
Yeah, I think that was Dornberg that got a piece of that. I think Dornberg went off pretty well for the most part, at least from what we can see on camera. Oh, that's a car around.
Looks like another AOD car.
Indeed it is. It is Cody Meadows. He's now trying to find a way back and find a gap in traffic to get a turn around in a very fast section of track.
I don't know about you, but I've been on iRacing long enough that when I see someone driving perpendicular to the racetrack, my heart stops. Just waiting for someone to come through, but thankfully nobody was.
See what happened to Cody Meadows to get him in that situation. Get the curve the wrong way, get the grass the wrong way. Oh, it just broke loose on him. Wow.
Not really weird looking, but the back end of these cars can kind of come around you in a lazy way, especially through the S's there. Let's see. Track temp's only 83 degrees, so it's a little weird that it would be that slippery out there.
Yeah, I was going to say, for the most part, these guys looking pretty planted through this section. We're going to be having, at least I haven't taken any laps here in this setup. But, yeah, I would be surprised. You know, usually you see the back end slide around in, like, the slow to medium section corners where you're kind of just dragging it along. But in high speed, usually you would think you have enough air running over it. But, yeah, in that case, just, I don't know, put too much steering input or what happened. Or maybe burned up his tires, too. I'm just trying to go through how he was able to loop it there. But, unfortunately, he went around. Luckily, he didn't hit anything, I think is the big takeaway, though. Cyan is still up in front in the 67 car, yet to make his pit stop.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. I haven't really been paying attention to the lap times, but he might, if he's been running fast enough since taking the lead, might have kind of fixed that gap problem that he was going to have to Carter for when Carter pit. But right now, Hudson's on pit road.
Last lap through, I mean, Andrew's been running almost a second faster than Carter Cundinger at the moment. So
Daner and Robillard also on pit road.
Yeah, so a lot of the front runners starting to make their pit stop, as you mentioned. And we're getting service for the one and only time they need to this race. Dominic Dornberg down as well. And there you see Ryan Cladwell come into frame as well, coming in. So you can expect our leaders probably going to be coming in the next few laps. We've got 13 laps left to go. Carter Cundinger blowing past the majority of the drivers as he comes flying out of turn 1. There's Chris Hudson coming out just ahead of his teammate. Drew Lidke was a lap down. Nope, that's not Drew Lidke. I lied. Who is that?
I wasn't looking at who you were looking at.
Person behind Chris Hudson at the moment.
Oh, that's Sabelski. He's in the green car.
That's
in the Can-Am car. they're both teammates. And
Man, we really need to slap people for having too many similar liveries, because between...
In fairness, one of them has red number boards and the other has orange.
That is true, but it's also very hard for me to see on my screen. At least the way I'm looking at my window is really small. So it's hard to tell orange and red apart.
What throws me off is there is an AOD race in green, but I think that that's in Lambo only, but not in my head. So when I see the green car, I just start thinking, is it an AOD car or is it Can-Am?
Here's Syandra in and out of his pit stall. Carter Kundinger, as he gets out of the pits, there goes Carter Kundinger now into screen. And just over the crest, you should be able to see there is Syandra, man, he's chasing down.
Yes, I was able to cover that pace gap that Carter probably looked like he was going to be on the favored side of after pitting as catching traffic earlier, but didn't work out for him. But he is in second position, and that's going to still be important for him to hang on to.
Yeah, indeed. I guess I'm seeing Syandra himself on a lighter fuel load, I think was able to cover that gap as you mentioned. So Carter Kundinger not able to make up that gap. We'll see if he can flip on a switch, maybe try to chase down Syandra. It's still been one of the faster cars of the race. Let's see, Chris Hudson. Chris Hudson, too, we haven't mentioned too much about him, has been having a very solid drive. Started in 12th all the way up into 3rd. I think actually went from 12th all the way up into 2nd after lap 1. So he's been having a fantastic day up inside the top 3. Paul Darling has been able to work his way up to 4th and actually might catch Chris Hudson before this is all said and done.
Yeah, I don't think Darling has had the pace to go up there and challenge for the top 2 positions, but definitely I think he's got the pace to get up there for 3rd. Is looking back, Colin Daner under pressure from Mo Islam going into turn 1, but Islam backs out, gives him the spot.
Yeah, for some reason Daner spent an extra almost 10, actually not 10 seconds, that's a bit of a lie, extra 7 to 8 seconds down on pit road as he goes a little bit wide in turn 3. Muslim goes very wide, hit some cones. But Dana spent an extra 6 to 7 seconds down on pit lane, and that cost him a lot of time. I was wondering why he was so far back from Hudson, because they should have been around the same place when they came in.
Sorry about that. The only thing I can think of, that was a surprise attack. Snyder Cut's catching up with me. The only thing I can think of is if you're unsure of how much fuel you would have needed, you might have overfilled and kept yourself in your pit stall a little bit longer. Or if you didn't have your fast repair checked and you just weren't thinking about it, which is easy to do when you're in the heat of battle here, and ended up having some damage fixed while you're on pit road as well. So those are the 2 things I would guess happen as Islam goes off track.
And another mistake from Islam down into turn 10 going to cost him some time, not necessarily position. They're going to give him 3, 4, maybe 5 seconds back to Dana just up the road that he lost from that mistake. Back up, Carter Kundinger. He's actually bringing this gap back down. Gap's now down to 1.5 seconds, which is pretty surprising. I thought we would have seen Syandra just drive away, but looks like Carter Kundinger is actually really pushing it right now. Let's see if he can continue this push and get inside the draft range.
Yeah, I think what Carter needs to do is just continue, obviously, what he has been and applying the pressure. Just the key is to minimize your mistakes. I think he has the pace to run similar lap times to Cy, but he just hasn't always been able to do it as consistently. So if he can back up his pace with consistency, I think he might still have an opportunity here.
Last lap through, lost, still gained time and gained 6/10 overall over the last lap. Starting to expand a little bit through the first sector yet again as Syandra just trying to keep it going. There's some close battles on track. Jarek Roval trying to catch up to Jackson Robard for 5th place. This is your closest battle on the track at the moment. Well, Robard I think made a mistake and now he's really under attack. We've really been seeing a lot of guys with different philosophies about turn 5. Some guys have just been completely over the curb. Some guys just taking a little bit, just about half a car's worth. And not too surprised. Actually, I am a bit surprised by that discrepancy.
So, checking on gaps now, looks like Cunninger's lost a little bit, about a half a second. Now back over 2 seconds behind Cyandra, although... And that's the key. Cyandra is able to hit a 109.7, and Carter's not able to match it when he does that. But when Cy does miss it a little bit, it seems like those are the laps that Cunninger is able to hit the lap times he needs to.
So you can look at the gap there. Cyandra, Carter Cunninger coming through frame, and there you see also Chris Hudson and Paul Darling not too terribly far behind.
Well, yeah, it looks like Paul's going to catch Chris Hudson here pretty soon, running almost a second quicker than the last lap.
Yeah, and now it's starting to get into draft range as well. This is really going to be the big thing of getting that draft down the straightaway, and it should be pretty quick. I think Darling probably not going to force the issue too much around Chris Hudson there. Again, there's not really much of a reason to do that.
Up and against Colin Daner, but you gotta hate that feeling of dominating and leading half the race, only to end up 7th place after pit stops are done, and the second half of the race is closing down as the sun begins to set for the second half of the race. But important for him in terms of the AM Cup standings is to maintain the position he's in, as Robillard is the only AM driver ahead of him in the running order at the moment.
Flying down the S's yet again. This is Darling getting very close, getting her closest battle on the track at the moment. Actually, it's a bit of a lie. The battle with Robillard and Rovell just in behind is also getting pretty close as well. Go through it here just to take a look at these two. We'll take a back look at Darling here. I think he's going to probably get it done on this straightaway. Matter of getting a good exit out of turn 7 here. And now Hudson kind of just, all he can do is really just hope and pray, and maybe you can pick a lane. And it's always curious to see drivers pick either the left side or the right side of the track to defend. Looks like Hudson's going to pick the right side, going to let Darling go up the inside here.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to fight it. He knows that was really fast through that corner, and you see Darling almost wasn't able to keep it on track.
Take a look
somehow
at that.
Was able to.
Not what I wanted to hit there, but it'll work. Look at Paul Darling here. Very close clip that, wow, drifted through turn 10A, and then luckily did not go over the grassy B to upset the cars. Great job.
Smart by Hudson to kind of see that coming as well, and not put himself in the position to get pushed off track.
Battle for 5th place between Robillard and Rovell. They were side by side through 1 and 2. Robillard able to hold off the pressure for now. And even Colin Daner is close into this battle as well. Oh, Rovell, big mistake in turn 5. Now here comes Daner with a big run, looking to the outside in turn 6. Is not going to force the issue. We'll try to look at turn 7 here.
Position you want to be in if you're Colin Daner, having a little bit of a better run off of turn 7 down this backstretch here.
Oh, got a massive run down the straightaway here. He's going to.
Oh, they're touching.
Yeah, indeed.
They're touching even more. That seemed like an intentional hip check to me.
Yeah, looking like they're not going to be too big fans of each other. Daner looking to almost rear end Rovell. You got to be careful because these are not cars.
A little bit too hard.
Yeah, it looks like there are some cars where you can do this, namely a stock car. Not so much in a prototype. These things not made to hit each other, and that actually could have gotten very bad very quickly. They're hitting each other under brake. That's the worst time you can hit these cars. They will definitely go off flying. As we saw with, not in prototypes, but in GT3 cars between Kyle Lamb and Jake Johansson in the Super Trofeo race earlier.
Yeah, surprisingly, those cars were able to hang on to it, but I think that's because they were just before hitting the brakes at that point. But a little bit of separation now between Rovell and Daner. We'll see if Daner is able to gather it back up and go back at him. But looking ahead, Cyandra's just opened up the gap by another couple seconds. He's now over 4 seconds ahead of Carter Cunninger, over 8 seconds ahead of Paul Darling, and then over 10 seconds ahead of Chris Hudson.
Yeah, looking to be fairly textbook for our top three. Let's see, unless something major occurs, we'll cut to it in these last 4 to 3 laps. Let's see if Dana can get back to Roval. I'm sure it'll be interesting if he can get back there. I'm sure he's definitely got some choice words to say.
And some hand gestures, flashing headlights.
I'm surprised they didn't give him a flash of the headlights. I think that was headlight flashing worthy.
Oh, he did.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Coming around the start finish line that lap.
There's not too many things you can that are agreed upon that you can flash the headlights over. I think adoring someone is definitely one of those things.
It is funny though, because there's plenty of reasons why you'd flash your headlights, and it seems like you can always know exactly what the reason is.
That is true.
You know if you're getting flashed because they're annoyed with you, or if they're just messing around with you, or if they're giving you a thanks for letting them go, or giving them space or something like that.
Yeah, it always depends on context, I guess, and you can usually always tell the context. As we see them go into turn 10, again, not side by side this time, although they come to collect 3 laps to go.
It's coming from Andrew and Andrew Mickey. In that case, it could be anything. It could just be because he's bored.
Yeah, usually I try, and I don't think I have really flashed my headlights at anyone unless it was a friend that I knew I was just kind of annoying them. But I've never really flashed my headlights at anyone unless it was normally for get telling a lap car to kindly get out of the way.
Just get annoyed when someone will do it from like 1.5, 2 seconds back because they want you to get out of their way or want you to know they're there, and they won't stop. And it's like, dude, I know you're there. You got to get closer, bro. Yeah,
it is good. It can be pretty obnoxious also, depending on the context as well. Some people use it arguably a little bit too much. You see them going flying through turn 7 here. Now the eyes go to watch this battle yet again. Dana, he's been not nailing those runs.
Close. It was a lot closer, and then it just seemed to lose the ground again. Not really able to make the most of it.
He didn't quite get a good run through 6 and 7. We mentioned quite a bit how important it is to get decent runs out of those corners because you just lose way too much time on the straightaways. And Dana looks like he's starting to fade out here in the closing stages of this race.
2 laps to go for our leader. A little bit of confusion there with Steve Bunting as he's trying to go around. Going into turn 6, but everything's clean.
Yeah, Mo Islam back to the pits. And didn't we? I think we saw. No, it wasn't Mo Islam.
No, Mo Islam was the one that came in really early, and I wasn't sure if that was the right move.
Oh, interesting, because it didn't update on our pit thing. It says that he's only coming one time, being this time. So.
Oh no, but I got it 2 on mine, and he came in, I believe, on like lap 9 or something like that.
Yeah, because I was gonna say I remembered him doing that too. Hey, TVO didn't want to remember that. Oh, but oh, okay, because he's now okay. Never mind. Now that he actually stopped, that actually registered it. So yeah, it's the second stop. So definitely, I guess, showing confirmation that was a little bit early. It was only a lap or 2 earlier. Otherwise, if he waited, he could have avoided that situation. But coming through here for out of turns 1 and 2, Andra now up and over the crest, working down the S's. Has been a fantastic job for him. A very textbook run up towards the front of the field. Got a bit sketchy in the middle part when he was battling between Chris Hudson and Colin Daner, but was able to get the job done. Rounding through 6 and 7 here for the final time. Carter Kundinger trailing not too terribly far back, wasn't quite able to put up enough of a fight. And Paul Darling, interested to talk to him to see what put him so far back in the first place, but it looks like he will rebound for a top 3. But again, looking at Andra up ahead, it's been a long time coming, at least for the races I broadcasted. Had a fast car at Road America, couldn't quite get the job done there. Similar story last week at Watkins Glen, wasn't able to get it done, but will come up and over the crest out of turn 11, through turn 12, and Andra will take home the checkered flag here at Road Atlanta. Carter Kundinger going to come across the line to finish in second. It was a strong result for him, as well as Paul Darling finishing in third. And your top 3 in the first race, same as the top 3 in race number 2. No change of order for them. Looking at Chris Hudson finishing in 4th, Jackson Roblar, he's going to come home in 5th. Derek Roval gonna slowly trace him back in 6th. Colin Daner not able to catch up to Roval after some door-to-door action. He's gonna have to settle for 7th place. Dominic Dormer gonna finish in 8th. Ryan Cladwell coming out of turn 12 in 9th, and Ryan Plor working down the back straightaway, completing your top 10. And some fantastic stuff here from Road Atlanta. Here's a way for Ryan Plor to finally complete the lap. And there he goes for another solid result for a Liam driver. He's done pretty solidly here at Road Atlanta. Take a quick look here at your finishing result. Again, the top 10 on screen. Solid result for a lot of these guys, particularly our top 3 finishing, again, as I mentioned, in the top 3 in both races tonight. Chris Hudson, a very underrated, strong performance after starting up, or I shouldn't say starting near the back, was up as high as 2nd place after lap 1. Continue there for the rest of the race inside the top 5. Going to finish in 4th. Jackson Robot also running at the top 5. And then going on to the next page, we have Moaz on finishing 11th after having to just pit there at the end. Definitely cost him quite a bit of time. Brian Zabelski back in 12th. Would have been hoping for better. Same thing with Corey Bunch. Looking down the rest of the order, probably drivers that would have been hoping for a better time out. Nicholas Morelli, that big off he had on lap 1, definitely took him out of a solid finishing position. I think there's another page of this. Indeed, it is Devin Bosch and the 21 Sarah Tassam being involved in the lap 1 incident as well. And with that, I'm going to cut to a little bit of a break. Your Discord ended up dying on me, so we'll see if I can get that back up running. We can talk to our race winners, and I guess in the meanwhile, enjoy some nice music in the background. So unfortunately, it seems like I've been having some internet issues, which is kind of weird because the stream is still running. I'm having trouble opening up other websites, and Discord is constantly trying to connect. So unfortunately, it looks like we're not going to be able to talk to our top 3 for tonight, which is unfortunate because they had a fantastic race out there and a really solid job. I just unfortunately cannot get this thing, anything else on the internet to work. So, with that, we're going to be wrapping up the stream today. I actually don't even have Eric with me because Discord's down. So this is an unfortunate way to end this stream, but some fantastic racing that these guys pulled off here tonight. Some very entertaining stuff to broadcast and also watch. Looking forward to them heading next week. I believe they're heading to Monza. Again, I can't even pull up the schedule because that is also, I just can't even open any single webpage after this. So, I believe they're heading to Monza, if not Spa. It's some round in Europe, and it's definitely going to be some interesting action as the season winds down. But for now, my name is Finn Yakuna. I was with Eric Mickey just a few minutes ago, but we're going to be signing out here from Round 7 at Road Atlanta for the SCRS LazyRocket Prototype Challenge. Thank you for watching.